everyone. Welcome to the Women Are Worthy Network. Y'all know I'm excited about this conversation. So, today we're going to be speaking with Mr. Caleb Anderson. He's a 13-year-old college student. So, we want to give a warm welcome to Mr. Caleb Anderson. Hello, Caleb.
Hello.
How are you?
Good, you?
I am doing well. When I tell you that I've been so excited to just have this conversation, I've been excited. Now, the reason I wanted to have you on is because just the fact that you're 13 and you're in Georgia Tech is amazing. So, can you tell us that journey? Because I read that at 9 months you learned sign language. And at one, you started to read, and at three fractions, Caleb, what's going on here?
Um, so was, I guess, the main thing that, gave me all of these abilities was my ability to, learn, grasp information quickly, learn quickly. So, my mom, first saw that, I was trying to mimic her, at a very young age, like, weeks into my birth, trying to make her sounds and things like that. So she tried to cultivate that, she ended up teaching me sign language that I could read, very early, not 6 to 9 months. Um, you know, um, I was apparently able to, even read the U.S. Constitution by, 2. I was doing fractions. I do remember that I could draw a circle. I could draw an O, but I refused to write a 0. I don't know why. That's just a funny story, but you know, um, I from there, I was enrolled in the first grade at 2 years old, and I took kindergarten twice, so that I could, play with kids, sort of closer to my age. I think I started at, 2, 3, and I ended up in first grade at, 4, even though I was doing sort of that level, 2 years before. And then after that, I did second grade, and I ended up skipping third. And my mom did start a school from kindergarten through sixth or seventh grade. So I ended up going to that school, and when I hit seventh grade, I went to another school, and I did graduate with honors, but that school wasn't really right for me, so I transferred schools, and they actually ended up holding me back, again for more social reasons. So from there, I ended up going through seventh grade again, with all A's and B's. And then from there, I skipped eighth grade, and this is sort of where it gets a little bit complicated. But I did high school and college at the same time. I did like this dual enrollment program, but I was enrolled as like, um, I was enrolled at my, my mom's old school technically, but I was taking full time college classes, so I was able to finish high school in 2 years and get my associate's degree.
When did you know that everyone's special? But when did you know you had that talent? You're in class, but you're like learning at a faster speed. When did you know you had it?
Um, I There have been a lot of times where I've sort of, you know, felt it, but I think I really recognized it. At least my first run through in seventh grade, because the school that my mother started was, it was for kids like me. So it did eventually, end up closing down, but there were a lot of kids like me who learned at an accelerated pace, and we were learning some of the things that I've learned, in college, there actually. So I think that sort of threw me off a little bit, and before that I was obviously very young, and so it didn't really phase me. But when I hit seventh grade, I definitely realized that it was different.
What advice would you give a child out there who has that special gift, but they feel ostracized? They can't they're living in both worlds. You know, they can't kind of socialize with kids their age, and the older kids are not really wanting to socialize with them. So they don't feel that they're accepted. What advice would you give, someone like yourself?
So, number one, I'm not saying hide your talents, but I am saying like, number one, make friends with kids your age. It's a little bit harder to make friends with older kids. I do have friends, that are in college, but um, it is a little bit harder to make, friends that are much older than you. But I would say like not talk about like if you're trying to make friends your age, not talk about your gift, and then when they're actually friends with you, talk about it then when you realize that they're not using you for your talents, or um they're a trustworthy person that won't get jealous of you, or they're somebody just that wants to get close to you even though they don't like you. So that's the tactic I've used, and I've actually made quite a lot of friends that way. And once you start having friends, you build confidence. You can make friends with people knowing your talents, and I've done that too as well.
Now, what advice would you give parents? Because I want it coming from you. What advice would you give parents who has a child like yourself and they just don't know what to do? So, what advice would you give the parents?
Advice number one, don't push your child, because if they truly have that gift, they're probably going to push themselves, even without that gift. It's already a lot of stress. School is very stressful, and if you're in a higher grade, it's definitely very stressful. And if you have the added pressure of your parents on top of you, it's very, very uh there's a lot of pressure on you, and that's not great. Even me, I have a lot of pressure on me, but um I mainly most of that pressure comes from me. I'm the one that puts
Mhm.
myself, and I think that parents really need to know how to, especially with kids who do learn quickly. They will want to learn. That is something that you have to cultivate, at an early age. It doesn't matter if you have a gift or not. You need to know how to learn. But I do think that you need that kids, just naturally, they'll try to push themselves to learn. And again, that sort of leads me into my other piece of advice. It doesn't matter who you are. From a very young age, you're going to want to teach your child as much as possible, and you're going to want them to teach. You're going to want to teach them, critical thinking and how to learn for themselves. Because, especially with the internet, it's great and all. There's a lot of cool things coming from it, but there's also a lot of opinions coming at you every which way, and you can't let that influence you. You have to make informed decisions on your own, and you have to learn how to learn. So you're not picking and choosing which opinion. You're making your own opinion, mixing and matching, and going for the path that seems right for you.
How are you handling negativity?
Negativity, I've made the mistake of reading some comments on YouTube, some of the interviews that I've had, and some of them are very positive and some of them are very negative. You'd be surprised. But um whenever I read comments on other people, like negative comments on other people, I just think, oh, how bad they must feel. But when I read them about myself, I just realize that there's no way that's true, because that's not who I am. They're talking about, you know, um, they're saying bad things about my parents. They're saying bad things about myself, and me being, it's being my life. I know that isn't true. So honestly, I just laugh at them because it's honestly funny to see how these people think that they know everything about my life, even though they don't.
So, you chose aerospace engineering. Why? And explain that, please.
Well, when I was younger, I wanted to be an astronaut, just like every kid. But if there's one thing about me, I'm like incredibly stubborn. Like I once ran away when I was 3, twice.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Did you say you ran away twice at 3 years old?
I think once at 3 and once at like 4 or 5. Yeah.
Okay.
Uh, but when I think of something, I go for it. Of course, now that I'm a little bit older, I wouldn't do that
Right.
because I have to think of the pros and cons. Once I get out of the house, what am I gonna do?
Mhm.
Like what? I wanted to be an astronaut. That was my dream. I love space, and I guess I'm not really that interested in aerospace. Not as much as a lot of people. If you meet an aerospace engineer, 99.9% of the time they're going to love planes. It doesn't matter if they retire; they're going to be working on planes or
Hmm.
rockets. I don't even think most aerospace engineers will retire because they definitely love what they do. Um, you know, I don't know about mechanical engineers. I don't know about electrical engineers because I know some of them that just do it for a job. They do like it, but it is just a job to them. And they would like to retire. But most aerospace engineers, that's their favorite thing. But that's not like me. I like space. I don't like flying. But I
Hmm.
guess almost astrophysics, I guess. But aerospace engineers seem like a good gateway to become an astronaut to learn about space. However, once I delved deeper into aerospace engineering, I realized that I didn't have to risk my life to go into space, but instead I could have these very very courageous astronauts. I could have their lives in my hands because I really can't and 100% trust people who send these astronauts into space. I would like to be the one, I would like to be the one to send these people into space, to have them explore because I know I could trust my hands.
So, have you seen Hidden Figures?
Yes, I have.
Okay. So, did that help you a little bit more to, in your mind analytically when you watched it about what these women did and things like that?
Yeah, that definitely influenced my decision a little bit, but I guess that sort of showed me why I wanted to do it. I sort of I sort of had that feeling ever since I decided, but I didn't really know like why I, fell in love with it. Um, but I thought it was cool that all these people behind the scenes, they're the ones that are doing, the work. And it is incredible that these people went into space, operated the controls. But I also think it's incredible that people they built these literal flying like missiles, and they target them to a planet millions of miles away. I personally think that's insane, and that one small mistake can make the rocket go kaboom. But it doesn't always go kaboom. It usually does, but not always.
Right,
But
right. So,
um
what would you like your legacy to be known as?
Um, I want to build a company for people like me that don't have the same opportunities that I do. People that number one aren't as financially supported as I am. I got really lucky. I'd like to somehow give out scholarships and have people who are like me, but who aren't hired. Because because there's somebody who is richer and who have more resources, but isn't necessarily smarter me. And I think that that's a company that can rival the likes of SpaceX and Blue Origin, because I think that that's a really sincere dream, and I think that that's something that a lot of people would like to see accomplished.
How important is it being an African American young man to be a role model to other African American young kids?
Very important, because I don't believe I guess the sort of stereotype of successful African American men is basketball players, football players, even baseball players, or even political figures like Malcolm X or Martin Luther King. But you don't hear very much about these geniuses who invented things like peanut butter, the traffic light, who took these ideas and made them into something that we take for granted every day. So I think that African American kids, no, not just African American kids, kids in general,
Mhm.
honestly, the norm in today's society is that you want to be an influencer, an actor, and if you're really good at it, go for it. If you're really good at an athlete, if you're a good boxer, if you're a good football player, if you're a good singer, then go for it. But just know that almost nobody gets into those jobs. Not almost nobody makes it big in those jobs. So, it's either make or break. Don't drop out of college. Just as many billionaires went, or 10, 20 times as more billionaires went to college as those who didn't. And the ones that didn't, they had financial support from the family, and they had financial support from their friends, and they had financial support from banks and things like that. And a lot of people dropped out of college thinking that they could make it like that, but they didn't know what these people had to go through. American man, or kid, that it's very important that I show people that there's an easier way to go through to become successful without having to you know um create almost talents that you didn't have since you were born. Because I think that STEM, anybody can go into. All it takes is a lot of determination and willpower.